Your government wants to spend $500 million on an enforcement mechanism that in the end will cost you more money, while an obvious problem sits right here. Coming up today on Frontlines.
Shall we begin?
From the trenches of trucking experience and the passionate heavyweight in the Truth and Broadcasting Network, welcome to Truckin City News Frontline Podcast, hosted by the most opinionated broadcaster on YouTube, Boss Man.
Howdy ho, and welcome. We are operating on mobile circumstances. We are winging it. I'm out of my element, and yes, I'm in a motel room. Sorry about the late arrival, as it were. It was unfortunate and unavoidable, but that's show business for you. We are lined up today with, I believe, a very exciting show. We have a lot planned to be talked about, and I don't care how many technical difficulties the world throws at me, we will overcome. It will be done. It will be done right, and it will be done well. Maybe not the best, but heck, we'll get it done. We are excited to talk today about what I want to talk about, which is government waste. There's a lot of it going on. And recently an article has surfaced that suggests even more. Wait till you get a load of this. I'd planned on a lot more graphics, video, all that kind of BS, but being mobile, my technology is not cooperating with me. So we are going to rely on others instead. We can still have a healthy discussion. If you're coming to us live on YouTube, on my channel, welcome. Go down below, hit the like button. Certainly help the algorithm out, giving me a bump up and everybody out there in the trucking industry the benefit of the greatest show on the planet. I like to say this is because what other show offers you the opportunity to come here, talk to me, voice your opinions, talk about the industry without wondering who's behind me paying the bills, jerking my chain, making me spit a narrative out that does you absolutely no good. We here talk about the issues on Frontlines related to stories you need to hear about. I simulcast this live with John, Driving with John's channel, and I also bring it to you live on the Grumpy Old Trucker. These are two guys I've teamed up with recently on these Saturday shows to bring you a wide-ranging perspective on what trucking should be. We are all about making trucking great again. You'll see why I said it that way here soon. You can call our hotline at 860-785-3547. That is our studio line. And despite my technical deprivances today, I still have the studio line up and ready to go. So give us a call, 860-785-3547. If you have an idea for a story you'd like featured or discussed in the same in the same fashion as we're doing today, by all means, go right down here. Look at That's Truckin News at Outlook.com. That's Truckin News at Outlook.com. Send us an email. Tell us what you want to talk about, and I'll put it here. So without further ado, I want to talk about what I want to talk about. We are going to get to that. We are going to talk about government waste and their latest push you need to hear about. But I also have a guest with a very interesting perspective that kind of ties into this. So let me bring that guest up and let me give him the opportunity to pose that question to you and start the conversation off in a very live manner. Let's bring on Driving with John, who in the previous couple of days has had some very interesting conversations with me on a topic I think you would be well versed to give your thoughts on. Which, while he's talking about it, put it in the comments. Let us know your thoughts. Good day, John. How are you today?
I am doing wonderful. I am doing absolutely wonderful. And I hope everybody out there in Wonder and YouTube Facebook land is also doing wonderful. So here's the thing. In 2020, there were about 98,000 traffic accidents across all of the United States. 98,000. In 2022, there were more than twice that amount. I want you to think about why that would be. And is really the truckers out here the problem? Think about it, put it in the comment section. But I have one other thing I want to do really quick here that Bossman doesn't know about. If you're watching on my channel, on Grumpy's channel, I'm asking you right now in the comments on my channel, there's a link to send you directly to Bossman's channel, okay? Go to Bossman's channel. He's at 98 subscribers. By the end of this live, he's going to be at 100. All right, guys, go to his channel and subscribe right now. I want to get this guy to 100 today. All right? He didn't know this was coming, so that's why he's acting like that over there. That way, over there. So go do that.
Here,
When you hit 100, I'm going to announce it. I'm going to interrupt him and probably kick him off stage and celebrate without him, just because that's the kind of guy I am. All right, let's do this.
and here I thought you were going to give me a Tesla or something.
Well, hey, we started small here. Start with 100 subscribers, then Teslas. Okay, that's how it works.
Oh, okay, all right, yeah. I have to crawl up the ladder like you like big guys. Huh? I see how it is. All right, so let's see from an Okie standpoint what the grumpy old trucker thinks about accident statistics from the last few years. So tell me, Grumpy, in your own words, what do you think of the question John just asked over here? And what's your answer to his question?
Hey, wait a minute. I thought I was on the Weather Channel here. What's going on?
Why are you saying that, Smarty Pants?
I thought I tuned into a Weather Channel here. Oh, sorry, my bad.
Well,
That is kind of an interesting.
That's because
What?
it's about to start raining subscribers on Truckin City Media's page over here.
Uh-huh.
That's why.
Good
There,
cover.
that's
Good cover.
that explains it.
Yeah.
Hey, yes, I kind of have to agree with the factor of what John brought up. I mean, it has made a big difference on the factor of accidents here lately, and it's going up for some reason. What's the deal with that? I mean, our government's supposed to be making better vehicles that are more smarter and more, safer to be out there on the road, and yet our accidents are still getting worse. So there seems to be a problem somewhere.
Think about where these statistics are being born. Now, a lot of the statistics John mentioned moments ago come from the NTHSA. They do these statistics year over year, and they talk about year over year. And typically, it's been an increase. What do they normally do? Normally, what they do is they blame us. They blame the big rig guys for the causes. Why? Because you've got ambulance chasers out there that constantly pump out these court cases with these nuclear verdicts, and they use precedent after precedent after precedent, saying how we're distracted, and by the way, before I get my fates and my midlifes and all these people in the comments talking about how hypocritical I am, do you want safe cars, safe drivers, safe trucks, all that? Think about this. How many of those precedents used in those nuclear verdicts have actually been backed up by statistical fact? Yeah, it's easy to say trucks are the bad guys. It's easy to say we cause the accidents. But now I ask you, in the comments, put down, do you really believe everything you see on these statistics? Or do you, like me, think that there's some bull behind the grass that, to use a family-friendly term, there's stuff in there we're not seeing? How many of you think, in addition to that, that most of these statistics are born of accidents caused by the four-wheelers, and then an overall training program involving not just us, but them as well would benefit? What do you say, John? What do you think?
I'm sorry. I'm halfway distracted trying to share this stream out everywhere because I'm trying to get as many people onto your site than mine rather than mine today as possible. I think that you're referring to the accidents, correct? I'm sorry.
The accident statistics you mentioned
Yes.
in your
Well,
question. Yes, sir.
here's the thing. Here's the thing. I say, I get these random thoughts when I'm driving, so I started asking Siri how many accidents there was in 2020, and when it said there was only 90, I think it was 95,000 or 93,000. I forget the exact number. And then so I was like, huh, I wonder if that's much different than after the pandemic happened. So then I started asking about 2022 and 2023, and when I found out the numbers were drastically higher, it made me think. Now you can go ahead and say, oh, but there's less or there's more truckers on the road now than there was then. That might be true to a very small part, but not to double the statistics. What I'm trying to prove by this point is I honestly think that
I think I
most
understand.
truckers, huh?
Oh, I was just agreeing with you. I think I understand.
No,
Because
I think
between the
I
numbers,
think
because
most
with the number, well, with the numbers you mentioned, I mean, you brought up a good point, right? Just a second ago. The number of truckers who were on the road prior to the pandemic, which is around 2020, the numbers you mentioned, versus now, totally different story. But are the statistics spread out over that same story? No, they're not, because the numbers don't equal the truckers' difference working today versus 2020. So you made a good point there.
Yeah. Well, here's
It,
the thing. Um, People always say, "Oh, the big mad mean truckers caused all the problems. All the accidents are by these horrible truckers." Well, statistically, that's not true. Yes, most accidents are blamed on us. Yes, a lot of accidents are preventable that we have, but the majority of accidents aren't actually caused by us. They're caused by four-wheelers. They're caused by, circumstances beyond our control, deer, whatever. Um,
right.
and you can see that by those statistics. Because why would they more than
Mhm.
double 2 years later? The only difference is there's more four wheelers on the road now than there was during the pandemic when everybody was staying home. That's the only difference.
Right.
So,
Well, I mean, the overall statistics, I wasn't referring to the car drivers. I was referring to the number of truck drivers. Since the pandemic, the number of trucks on the road have changed dramatically. But if you look year over year, the statistics have not borne the same results, because it
yeah.
seems like we're in a statistical climb with all of the accidents that's pretty much steady. You would think if they're following statistical norms, that number would jump equal to the number of people in the industry, which today proves to be an overcapacity, such to the effect that it's killing our rates. Now, I got somebody in the background I've just noticed pop in, I think has something valuable to add. And we're not talking about rates, but he's been a lifetime dreamer of building back trucking better. And I figured I'd give him the opportunity to state his thoughts on trucking accidents. So,
This
boom,
is going to get
big
interesting.
trucking is in the house. How are you, my boy?
I'm good. Good afternoon, gentlemen. You actually,
Let's
you
make trucking great
actually,
again.
yeah, build back better. Um,
There you go.
you actually took the sail out of my wind, or
Oh,
the
I'm sorry.
wind out of my sail. Sorry about that. Um,
I like the sail being in your wind better.
yeah. Uh, John's little depiction there, I think was drastically wrong. Trucking there after the pandemic, and even during the pandemic, there was like quadruple the amount of trucks on the road than
No,
previously.
there was
Absolutely.
3.5
All
million
all
truckers when the
all you got to
pandemic
do,
started. Right now,
all
there's not even 4 million, so we didn't even
John,
gain a half a
listen to
million.
me.
Okay.
Dude,
I'm
John,
gonna stop both of you. I'm gonna
the
stop both of you and agree with and agree with Fate. I'm gonna let him finish his point. Did you not just hear me 2 seconds ago, John? Make an iteration to what I was talking about when I was talking about statistics. Did you not hear me just make the iteration that we had far more trucks today on the road than we did in 2020? So I think what Scott's trying to prove is the same thing I just said, which is that the statistics don't bear the facts. You know, your question was, and I quote, what do you think of the numbers? Well, there you go. I think the numbers are wrong. I don't trust the statistics because I don't think they accurately represent. Why is it that in 2020 they said we had 3.5 million drivers? Hell, you can't find any statistics anywhere in this internet that says we still have any more than 3.5 million. No one honestly knows. But yet we're
No.
dealing with
Oh,
people like you and me trying to make a living, and we find the rates doing this. Go ahead, Scott.
well, it's still easy when you're talking about statistical numbers. Now, I haven't looked at it or heard like DIY talk about this, but
Mhm.
there for a long
I
time,
welcome it.
new entries were being added. You know, people getting their own authority, becoming carriers at historical numbers from
That's
2020
true.
all the way up until like 6 months ago, 7 months ago. So that
Right.
automatically is going to put more trucks on the road. Automatic.
Well, about a
Um,
year ago is they were adding, but they were also subtracting. And I wouldn't say we added more than 500,000. So let's say there's 4 million.
no,
So
I wouldn't say
statistically,
that.
that
But
doesn't balance out.
John, you are smart enough to know there was more trucks on the road. How do I say this? There was less
I'm not
trucks on the
denying that.
road before the pandemic. We can
Yeah,
we can all
I
agree
wasn't
Agreed.
on
talking
that,
about
correct?
before. I wasn't talking about before. But in the year 2020, there
Okay,
was less than
now move
100,000
forward now.
traffic accidents.
Move forward now.
Mhm.
How has trucking changed so dramatically? Like I truly do believe those numbers are pretty damn accurate. Look at the drivers that are on the road. They can't even read the road signs. We've seen an influx of that style of truck driver since 2020.
Thank you, Scott. I appreciate that.
Okay,
Yes, and it's not just
can I
that though.
can I
It's
can
not just
I
that.
can I clarify something
Mhm.
you're saying? So what you're saying is the accidents are always the trucker's fault, and the truckers be damned no matter what.
I didn't say that. That's not at all what I said. But I do believe a majority of truck accidents are caused by the driver. And you made a perfect example. Things out of our control, like a deer. You should not hit a car if you're hitting a deer. If you know anything about trucking, you drive through any animal.
It's
You
still called an
don't
accident,
slam
though.
on your brakes. You don't do things like that. Not with another motor vehicle. You
No,
shouldn't
but
get into an accident with another motor vehicle if you hit it. If you're swerving to miss a deer, if you're swerving to miss a deer, you did something wrong.
I
And
agree
I do
100%.
believe that is a lack of training in this industry,
I agree
which
100%. But
which
what I'm
would cause
saying,
more accidents.
I agree 100%. But what I'm saying is the accidents were just crashed vehicles. There were involving well, at least one vehicle. There were 98,000 in 2020. Now it's more than double that in the last
Which
year. So
I
the
would say
only
that's
difference
accurate.
between the two is I'd say it's very accurate too, but here's the thing. The only difference is yes, there might be 500,000 more truckers on the road, but there's also millions and millions and millions of more four-wheelers on the road now than there was then. So you can't say
The
it's
only
all
I
the
agree with
truckers
that
that are
too.
always
the
the
only
problem.
the
John, I
only
never.
divergence the only divergence in statistics that I'm hearing in this conversation that seems to ring true and everybody understands and can agree on is the number of car drivers differed between then and now. The number of truck drivers certainly differed. 2020, it was around that 3.5 million mark. By the way, I agree with that. That's realistic. The amount of car drivers between 2020 and now, certainly above everything else. Tripled,
Yeah, and I'm not.
I think.
More than tripled.
I'm
Yeah,
certainly not
being
blaming
generous.
truck drivers for every accident. And I guess I can only speak for myself. But in the 4 years I've been an owner operator, and my truck has been hit 3 times, and I have been involved in 3 accidents. Not one has been caused by a four wheeler. It has been caused by other truck drivers that don't have the right training in the industry to even know how to back up a damn semi. So
Right.
my statistics say I'm much safer around four-wheelers than I am other truck drivers.
Right.
And I actually believe that, like,
Frank,
wholeheartedly.
Frank, what do you think about this whole argument? You've been rather silent during this whole thing. One of our friends from the north, his gracious, humble experience with all the years' experience, he says it's the same in Canada. It's uneducated, untrained, in his words, immigrants, and now the province of Saskatchewan is trying to dumb down the amount of training they get wanting a CDL. That is an entirely different conversation. One I will partially entertain here, but dive further into in a future live coming up. But having said that and presented you with that, Frank, what are your thoughts?
Well, the factor of this difference in motor vehicle accidents, it's not really pinpointing out who did what and how it happened. I mean, it's just saying how many accidents have happened since that time period. So, I mean, it's kind of hard to differ on whether if it was all, the big truck's fault, the car's fault, or both. But as you all know, as the best being drivers out here, about 85% of the time, it's usually caused by a four-wheeler that decides that they're going to be smart and jump in front of us and hit the brakes, and that's what causes a big problem. And then, of course, like Fate was talking about, he's got the factor of being sitting in a truck stop parking lot and smack, he gets hit. I mean, that's with undertraining on that issue, which is a big problem.
Right.
So it's kind of a big flip around here. We're picking at this, picking at that, but at the same time, I look at it as it depends on how much time people have learned how to drive and operate a motor vehicle properly, whether it be commercial or it be a car. It also depicts the factor of all the things that goes on now inside of a vehicle. You've got your smartphones that people are tinkering with driving down the highway, which is causing a lot of that issues. You've got more distractions with these light up signs all over the highways at night that'll blind you coming up to them.
Right.
It's I do see the factor where John first brought it up. We have went up. Now my question is just everybody else's, I'm sure. What is the factor? What caused the problem? What's the actual itch? You know what I mean? That you're wanting to scratch at here.
Well, it depends on who you ask. That it depends on whether you're talking to the NTHSA, that you're talking to FMCSA, the DOT. Every one of them's got a different angle. Hell, if you go down the road to Bernie, Birdie, and Schuster, the local kill the trucker law firm, they're going to say it's all us.
Mm-hmm.
But if you go to DOT, they're going to say it's a combination. If you go to FMCSA, they're going to blame the hours of service. You know what I'm saying? So it's different. It's a different angle from everybody involved. With us, we're just trying to make a living.
Right.
And we're trying to get the job done from A to B. And we've got to deliver on time, on schedule, for a profit.
Mm-hmm.
And discussions like this, albeit they help, the results that lead us to the conversation are what kill our bottom line. What do you think? What do you think, John?
Yeah, I mean, I think we're beating a accident horse here, but basically, I don't think I'm going to agree 100% with what you guys are saying. I think truckers are, yes, we're professionals, yes, we're held to a higher standard. I get all of that, but I also think that when it comes to accidents, we're definitely thrown under the bus every chance they can get. Like,
Okay.
I mean, I don't see bulletin boards on the side of the highway that say, if you drive a Greyhound bus, call me if you get in an accident with a Greyhound bus and I can get you billions of dollars. No, but you see them for truckers all the time.
All over the place, especially in Southern
Yeah.
Georgia. I need to stop you 1 second. I noticed a couple of comments in there talking about two phones, feedback, BS. You on the panel, do you hear any feedback or any echo? I just need to clear this up.
No.
No one said anything about feedback.
Well, Seven Seas has got the comment on the screen about the two phones thing. I don't know what he means by that.
No, that
But I
Well,
means
he's
did
probably
look over.
watching both channels.
he's watching on both channels.
Okay, thank you for that. I just misunderstood, but I just looked over and noticed my son's watching the live feed on my wife's laptop. He's got the sound muted, so I wanted to make sure that that wasn't interfering. That's all.
Oh no, I can't
So,
hear it. But hey,
okay.
guys, anybody that's on my channel right now, I just dropped a link on my channel. Come over here to Truckin City Media and subscribe. He's at 98. We want to get him to 100. Y'all, we can do this. Come on, guys, let's get him to 100 subscribers. I will do fireworks. I will do confetti. I will do balloons. Heck, you know, whoever the 100th subscriber is, email me and I'll do something special just for you. How's that?
There you
Yeah,
go.
and those that are watching off of Grumpy Old Trucker page, come on over and join also. I don't have a problem with sharing.
Hey,
Not a problem one
Share
bit.
I
Sharon
sure
sure
don't
Sharing-
like too.
And
Yeah.
sharing,
Sharing
out
is
on
caring,
all your social
man.
media.
Go ahead, Scott.
Can I say one thing real quick? Because I'm kind of getting in some sketchy area, and I'll have to get off the phone here, losing service. By no means am I blaming truckers for every accident on the road. I do think four-wheelers, new drivers should understand more about like the vehicles they're gonna come in contact with out on the highway. I wish truck drivers were part of drivers training for new drivers. At least have a day where we could walk in and talk about our blind spots and show people pictures. And the deal is,
100%, I agree.
if you get involved in an accident, a mere fender bender with a commercial vehicle, I got hit at 5 miles an hour and it cost $32,000 of damage to my truck. So like,
I was gonna mention that, but I didn't want to. Thank you for bringing that up. I mean, it can happen anywhere, it can happen anytime. And
yes.
how many statistics, Scott, do you know of, before I lose you, where they do just what you talk about, the damage they did to your truck and everything to you, and then just haul ass and don't even think, look back, or call anybody.
Oh,
That happened to me recently too.
yeah.
Not to the same level that he had, but
well, and to Scott's point, this is cars and trucks, not just. I mean, to his point, we need to train them better.
I'm going to bring this up because it kind of touches on the subject. It's kind of funny that when you're working for like some of these mega carriers and even some of the smaller ones, if you're involved in an accident, your safety department makes you go through, safety training and all this, watch these videos and do all this kind of crap, before you, and then you're treading on thin ice again whenever you get back out in the truck, if they allow you to get back out in the truck, depending on what the accident involved.
Yeah.
But you got these four-wheelers out here, and none of them have to go through anything. It's just like, wham, bam, I'm back in a vehicle, I'm going, and then they go out here and they possibly do it again because they don't understand the factor of what caused the accident to begin with. And,
Right.
I think there should be some kind of a safety course on that, like, Faye was talking about.
Right. Go ahead, Scott. You want
one more thing real quick. Yeah, one more thing and then I'll get off, guys. So like here's the problem we run into, okay? This is in my personal opinion.
Mm-hmm.
I get from the panel that they think a lot of accidents are probably caused by four-wheelers. A lot of truckers think four-wheelers are the ones that cause the problem. The answer isn't pointing the finger and figuring out who's to blame exactly right now. The thing is, we just need better training for everybody. Like,
I think that was my original point. Thank you, Scott, for backing me up on that. Yes.
I would add to that also, not only do we need better training, we need the laws that we already have in place enforced. A great example is that comment you just had up there. It says they need to enforce the English speaking rule, blah, 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 blah. DIY hit on this when he went to the truck show. He was talking to the people from the MFM, you know what I mean.
Yeah, those guys.
FMCSA, and they said they basically threw their hands in there and they said we're told not to enforce it. Like, enforce the laws we have. It makes our roads safer, and it's not a thing about where you're from. It's not anything against anybody. But in order to drive a semi or any vehicle on the road, you should be able to read the road signs. You should be able to communicate effectively. It's just common
Don, I'm
sense. It's
glad you
not
mentioned it.
No,
has nothing to do with anything
I'm
else.
glad you mentioned that because I've seen quite a few podcasts addressing this very issue. And a couple of comments later, same dude also says he didn't think it was meant for conversation. No, it was. But to your point, John, there have been plenty of cases where people have found out directly from the horse's mouth that it's pretty much a given understanding that when you're training people that speak foreign languages, today's acceptance and use of translators and the ability to get through that English as a base language barrier is just put under the bus. Everybody can grab their cell phones and translate language to language. So it's just, you know what? If you can't read it or whatever, yeah, in the 5 seconds it takes for you to hit something where the sign says slow down, oh, let me grab and then they want to cry we're distracted driving. Okay. I mean, I know it's a stupid argument, but that's the reason why we have what Griffith UMC just
no,
pointed out.
no.
The whole
It makes
reason.
sense. That's one of the things I was going to just bring up is, why make a law or something and then not enforce it? That's just plumb stupid. I mean, that's just like you might as well take that piece of paper after writing everything on it and
The
just light a
problem,
match to
Frank,
it and throw it away.
the problem is the laws never move at the same speed the technology does. Technology will always outpass. Hell, we still got laws on the books that date back prior to 1938. Have they
I
changed
don't
them?
doubt it.
No. The moment they do, we're screwed because of the technology. By the time the law changes, the technology outgrows the law, and you can't keep everybody in the legislative house in session long enough to make the changes necessary to help us.
Well, that
So your
particular
point is
one
valid,
has nothing.
but
That particular one, it's still a valid law. They choose not to enforce it. And another one along the same lines is brought in the trucking industry. There's a lot of truckers, like for instance, the person that hit Fate Trucking, the person that hit me, I'm pretty sure are fraudulent carriers. Otherwise, they wouldn't get in their truck and drive away. They wouldn't they wouldn't run from the scene of an accident. I mean, if they don't speak very good English and they just run right away, it's one of two things. Either they're fraudulent or they're worried about losing their CDL, which I get worried about losing your CDL, but I would not run from an accident. I would be willing to put my
no,
CDL on the line if I was in an accident. Um,
no.
but I wanted to say, I wanted to point out one more comment, if you don't mind. I'm gonna highlight it there real quick. 7C
Certainly.
says, all I know is while trucking, I come up on accidents, probably 8 out of 10 that are all four-wheelers involved, and no way trucks are involved. In more accidents that he sees. Now that's anecdotal, but I agree with him. Most accidents I see, yes, the ones with trucks are usually more severe. You're going to have that with 80,000 pounds of weight, but ones without, there are a lot of car accidents, dude. I saw probably 8 yesterday, and only 2 had a truck involved. So
Yeah.
Right.
if all of us are seeing the same thing, it can't be a trucking issue.
I agree. I agree. Any
Yeah.
any 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 more to add to that, Frank? Because I'm going to move on to
Well,
topic number
the
2, which
factor
everybody's also waiting on.
the factor of it is what it sums up to is I agree with the factor that it seems that we see more so because we're out on the road more that it's four wheelers involved in these accidents, more than we see with the big truck involved. But everybody sees us as that guy right there. He's got a big bank account because he's a truck, so we'll go
Mm,
after him. And then that's what they look at. They look at dollar signs. They don't care, the factor of who did it. They just want to go after the one that has the biggest dollar signs, and they think us truck drivers do. And of course, we have to have, especially if you're an owner operator, you're going to have
Now,
good insurance to cover all
well, I was
that.
going to say nowadays the requirement on insurance keeps going up, and they're talking. New Jersey Governor Murphy just upped it to 5 million minimums. States
Mm,
all around are following suit. They're increasing minimums, i.e., our bottom line, we're paying more. So yeah, but to your point a second ago, Frank, we're talking about ambulance chasers. They're the perpetrators when it comes to where is the money in trucking.
Exactly.
Anybody with, I think, more than what, maybe you can speak to this, Scott, better than I can, more than 5 trucks, you then fall into a different category of insurance. You have to carry more. There's more money involved, I think. At a certain level, you have to shell out a lot more. So they look for stuff like that. The ambulance chasers do. I can't say about
Well,
anybody else.
I'm not saying they're out looking for that, but you look at some of these very big lawsuits that have happened, and the reality is either the company's doing something they shouldn't be doing, or the driver's doing something they shouldn't be doing. And I'm not saying that's every single one, okay? I'm saying, like, when you do read some of these cases, the truck was completely had no brakes and you went down a mountain and killed the people, or they're using the logbook reset, calling Lithuania. In my opinion, sue those companies for every nickel and dime they have, because those are the companies that are ruining the industry. They're ruining the industry for everybody. Now,
you're right.
once again, I'm not saying that's every lawsuit, or how you refer to it as the ambulance chasers, because I do think that happens too. But a lot of these cases, you end up finding out the driver was doing something wrong, or the company was forcing the driver, which I don't understand, to do something illegal. You know what I mean?
I do have a lot of respect for those in the business, not trucking, but in the enforcement side of it. And this is going to lead into the next story we're going to talk about here in just a second. So this is a perfect segue, I think. I have a lot of respect for those people actually trying to make it fair. Okay. There is a lot to be said for the latest push that I've seen on what you mentioned a minute ago, John, was fraud in trucking. I mean, because there is a lot of rampant fraud. Now, that's not what we're focusing today's show on. Where I'm going with this is when you're talking about the right direction for the law to go. The law should crack down on the fraudulent companies, those people that cannot back themselves up when they have accidents, i.e., those guys coming in with 3, 4 authority numbers but can't even handle one, or like, as in the point Poet's making right here on the screen, his local license bureau, he says people are going in taking tests. Cell phones are not allowed, yet many times I've seen them use cell phones to help translate. Either way you look at it, there's got to be room to make sure that whether you're talking about what my friend up north deals with or what we deal with here, let's enforce the rules equally, especially to the point you were making a minute ago, Faye Truckin. If we're going to hit it, we're going to hit it right, and we're going to do it equal across the board. Any last thoughts, Frank, before I move on?
Move on to the next topic here. We'll kill this one out.
Well, yeah. I mean, I just had the whole board jump around a minute because somebody had something to deal with, apparently. But look, what I'm talking about is an article that I saw where it said new funding blitz. Can $480 million really help us? In a move that screams big government intervention, the Biden-Harris administration decided to throw $480 million in the direction of enforcement of, get this, enforcement of legal trucks. That latest round of are you legal, can you be, or fraudulent trucks, all that stuff, all of that is put into it. And they're throwing it in through the infrastructure bill, and they're claiming that's part of that. Secretary Pete Buttigieg and Biden are all out there talking about everything. And an article was backed up by a video on Mother Truckers' site day before yesterday, talking about what they plan to do with all this. What they're going to do is spread grants out through all the states, step up enforcement to do what? Do more inspections. This is what I'm reading into this. Now, Tell me if I'm wrong. Put it in the comments. Tell me if I'm reading this wrong. But I think as the average trucker seeing this article and seeing the video he put out and seeing what's actually going on, okay, I personally think, turn that down. I can hear it. If I can, they can. What they're doing is they're putting the money in the wrong place. But as my intro intimated, I think where they should put that money is giving us the room we need and the resources we need to be safer and to be able to drive more rested, i.e., parking, which, if you talk to everybody out there, is a different story on parking. You know, I was talking to a guy named Midlife. Y'all are familiar with him. He says, "Oh, you want more government regulations?" I looked at him and said, "Yes, sir. I want to regulate the industry out of existence." No, and in seriousness, no. What we were talking about is he thinks that we need more enforcement. Honestly, I don't mean to speak for him because he's not on the show, but that is but one example of a conversation going on. From my perspective, we need to put money in a place that allows us to be safer and more qualified to drive. Yes, we need to get rid of fraudulent drivers. Yes, we need to get rid of fraud, but we don't need to be wasting $500 million on all these enforcement blitzes, which do nothing. What does it do in the long run? These people decide, well, they're gonna enforce in this state. I'm just not gonna go there. They're gonna have inspections in this state. I'm gonna stay away from there. People find workarounds. This is why I told Midlife the other day. They find workarounds to all this money getting thrown at all these states, and they're still here, and we're still busting them. We're still getting rid of them. We're still dealing with them, and we're dealing with the statistics we just got done talking about in segment 1 to battle all this crap we're dealing with in segment 2. What do you think, John? Do you think I'm onto something? You disagree or what?
Well, I think all that money could have gone to 2 different places that would have benefited the industry more than doing more inspections. Because when you do inspections, let's be honest, the honest guys are pulling into those places. And yes, some of them are busted and some of them get shut down, and I get all of that. But how about you put that money towards actually investigating fraud, actually doing the things that need to be done to make our industry a safer, better place for all of us. On top of that, how about you add some parking spots on the East Coast where we're not stranded like I was at 3 in the morning last night driving from truck stop to truck stop to truck stop looking for one spot. I mean, it's a real problem. And if you have all this money that you can throw at a problem, those are the 2 problems I'd be throwing money at. Actually investigating and getting rid of all the fraudulent carriers and brokers out there, and then more parking on the East Coast, especially because out west it's not as much of a problem unless you're out near California, LA area. But on the East Coast, it is a very big problem. I face it on a daily basis. So.
Well, not only that, but I think another place to put it is, and here's what I've read into the article. One place they are putting it is all these grants and funding are going to inspections and improve staffing at weigh stations. So clearly, as far as I'm concerned, I'm reading into it that what they're wanting to do is regulate the crap out of us. Exactly what Midlife pointed out. You want more regulations? Well, welcome to the club, mister. You just got a whole shit ton more of them. But it says nothing about training. It says nothing about public campaigns of awareness. And to your point, nothing about parking. I mean, because I think I appropriately addressed the whole parking issue on a previous live we did. If you want to know, go look up on my channel, my previous lives. I talked about parking on one of them. And I think I pretty much hit it nail on the head. In fact, it's on a video as well. The video is of a company that's actually putting their money where their mouth is, and they're starting to actually do pilots. They're not pilots, not truck stops, but we're piloting a membership program for parking to facilitate the very problem you had the other night, John, which is at the bigger, more populated areas. Right now, parking is at a prime price. It's at a premium because it's hard to find. So what they're trying to do is build up the amount of parking that exists and make it membership based and easier for you to find.
You know how much I pay for?
I was just going to say, it sounds like you, Scott.
I pay $400 a month to have a parking spot in Minnesota.
Okay. Is that
Yeah.
through a private person, property owner, or is that through a major company?
No, private company.
More to my
Private
point.
company.
Exactly.
Private
But how
company
many of those
has
exist?
a lot.
How
Has a
many of those
lot
exist
that,
in New York City, though?
no, right. I'm just saying it's
Yeah.
you said it parking's a prime. I
Yeah.
I haven't been home since Mother's Day. So I
Bless
paid
you.
$400 for the month of May and parked there for 3 days.
Mm-hmm.
I spent over $100 a day on my parking. Like if you look at it like that, I only parked there 3
Such
days.
statistics. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
you know. Um,
But think about now. You make a perfect solution right there. Perfect problem for the solution I pose. Okay, you are in Minnesota. You're home very infrequently, but you're stuck now paying that high price. And you try to go and negotiate for a lower price, you'll fail miserably.
oh yeah,
The
and if
guy's
I
gonna be
leave,
like, yeah, and okay, go ahead.
it took me 2 years to get that spot. There's
Mhm,
about there was about 4 companies in the
mhm.
metropolitan area of Minneapolis and St. Paul that do like truck parking rent basically.
Right.
And it took me 2 years to get one spot.
Wow.
And I'm not giving it up. Now the spot is ideal. It's got electric. It's got a spot that I can park my car in, and
Mhm.
technically I can use, if I had an RV, I could park an RV there. I can use it
Right.
for whatever I want. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, I mean it's a premium price, man, and it's
Right.
it's just one of those costs of doing business. I'm not
Mhm.
saying it's right. I'm just saying
I
it is a cost of doing business.
Right.
I
You got
and
something to
where
add,
I
John?
live, and I live basic. Yeah, where I live, and I live basically, thousands of miles away from where he lives, but same issue. When I was an owner operator, there was 2 places in the town I lived in that you could park a semi. Both of them had a waiting list of 2 to 3 years. Matter of fact, I'm still on a waiting list from when I was an owner operator 3 years ago to get one of those spots. Still, I'm on a waiting list. And I've never taken my name off
Wow.
because you never know when I'm going to need it, aka
Very
if
true.
my Mac ever makes it home. But
Yeah.
my point is, like, I don't. I get the $300. Like he said, it's the cost of doing business. I don't have as much of a problem with that as I do, and
Mhm.
I know Midlife Trucker right now is probably throwing something at the screen, but I have a problem with all the paid parking that when you get there, you pay for parking, even though I don't like to pay for parking, and your spot's gone. That happens a
Mm.
lot now. And
Right.
Paid Trucking will tell you that's happened to him. You get there, you paid for a spot, you reserved it ahead of time, and there's no paid parking, and they won't kick anybody out. So
Right.
the parking they do have isn't even guaranteed,
Well, more to
even if you
your
pay
point,
for it.
John, more to your point, let me ask the audience this, and I'll pose this back to Grumpy here in just a second, because he's had 23 years on the road and he's had the ability to soak in this entire conversation and say nothing. But to you audience members, let me ask you something. If both situations, both Spate and John talked about just a moment ago, could be made easier by simply going to a membership style or app based style form of parking membership, such as, tell me if you've heard of this, the Truck Parking Club. Midlife made mention of this, and also the video on my channel. Look at it, an outpost for trucking. That title explains exactly the mentality that I'm trying to demonstrate here. And I pose this as a devil's advocate to you. What if instead of the government getting involved, throwing all their money at it, what if private companies and private property owners and people that actually reap the benefits of the rewards our industry provides them, provides the property, the space through apps and through memberships, costing us a lot less than in poor Fate's example, hundreds a month or whatever the case is, or John, so much a day. If we could scale down the cost and make it easier, putting more spaces out over more places, what would you think of that? First one I want to answer that question is Grumpy. What do you think of making it a little less strenuous price wise. Take it off the back of the government because they've clearly demonstrated they're going to take decades figuring this out. What do you think?
Well, if you want my honest opinion, I'll be honest with you. Unless that lot that you're going to be parking at is going to be bonded basically and insured and have really good surveillance and have a really good tall fence to help keep theft out. I don't care if your truck's loaded or not. The factor of it is, I mean, I feel that you shouldn't have to pay for any kind of parking with a big truck if they're not going to have some good surveillance. Because even paying for these stupid parking spots at the damn truck stops, you know, we're paying
That
anywhere.
place up in Minnesota. That place up in Minnesota. Do you care if they're bonded? Do you care if they're fenced in? I mean, does any of that matter
Me?
to you? Yeah, that place you're talking about in Minnesota that you just referenced a moment ago. Do you care about any of that stuff?
100% I do.
Right. Do you know if any of
And
that
like
is
this
true?
is the place I park is fully gated. It's got 24-hour security on top of all the cameras. I would argue they should charge more because the reality is it's keeping away the drivers. You mentioned like private
Talk
people
about me
owning.
stealing the sail out of your wind. I mean, the wind out of your sail. You just did
Yeah,
it to me.
he's about ready to say what I wanted to say just now. What he's about to say right now, I was going to go there. Go ahead, Pete. I'll let you do it.
Go ahead, man.
You talk about private property owners renting out spots to semi trucks. Have you driven in a truck stop lately? Would you want that on your property?
You
I
had
would
to
charge.
make me go there, Scott. You really had to do that.
Well, it's the
And,
truth.
and
No, I was. If he didn't go there, I was going to, but I have a whole nother reason.
We
I-
just
I
went
would-
from sailing on the clear blue ocean, having a beautiful day, to Hindenburg in 3 seconds.
I make a joke
Well, you
about
know-
how expensive it is for me to park my truck. I would pay honestly, I would pay more to park. I hope they're not listening to this. To
Oh.
where I park my truck
We just
because
talking, man.
well, it's just I mean, you know, I'm hinting at here. If there's something just like Fate brought out, if there's something that we're going to have good security and all that, it's worth the money to pay out. But if you're going to these truck stops, you know, and they charge anywhere, well, back the last time I bought one, it was like 14 something for 10 hours, basically.
25 now.
You know,
It's 25
yeah,
now.
see, well, that tells you how long since I purchased, you know, a parking spot. But I don't like that. And, you know, I hate to say it, but one good thing the old man loves when he owned that, he did not, he was against that. He didn't like it. He didn't want nothing to do it. Of course, whenever he unalived now, he went on to be in better places. His family took over. Well, now they're starting to make all these stupid deals that if you don't get fuel with us, you ain't parking here, which is okay, I guess. That helps cut down somewhat. But here again, Love's is one of the bigger truck stops, so you're going to need a lot of people wanting to park there. And then
Do you
you've
follow anyone on the panel? Chime on this question. Do you follow Trucking Together? If you do, you saw a recent upload because they've been off of vlogs for a while, but one of the recent uploads included a fuel stop that Alice took over Donner Pass. Okay. My jaw hit the floor. Okay. Because in Donner Pass, there's one truck stop she stops at. She made it a point to show where her sticker was and all that. Kudos to her, by the way. She's trying to get everybody aware of the fact she was there once, but she's panned over and all of a sudden looked at a sign sitting over top of the gas pumps. $200 a night for parking. Can you freaking believe that? It's crazy.
and that brings up.
Well, here's the thing. Before we get off the subject too far, here's another thing. Not only are truck stops and a lot of truckers treating them like trash cans, but above and beyond that, where I live, there are local ordinances that says trucks can't park inside the city at all. So, but the combination of the two is truckers not taking good care of the areas they're allowed to park in, and local authorities not letting you park there, is especially on the East Coast, is creating a huge problem. Like I said, where I live, you have to pay $300 or $400 a month to have a parking spot, but it takes you 3 years to actually get into that spot, and there's nowhere else you're allowed to park without being towed. So
Well,
it's
and in
putting
more
truckers in
to
a situation where you can't even go home.
right. Well, more to the point that Seven Seas brings up in his comment down right here. It sounds like I need to rent you guys a spot here in North Carolina when you're coming through. That, my friend, you're welcome to think of and address me on that because this. No, wait a minute. This fella here lives in Florida. This fella here is in Oklahoma. I doubt seriously these two are going to benefit from that. And
No.
poor fate, you
Actually,
don't like North Carolina anyway. So I feel for you,
actually,
buddy.
Actually, let me correct you there. I have a piece of equipment not far from where Seven Seas is. Luckily, I have
Yeah,
pre-storage for it right now. But
yeah,
if I didn't, I'd be
that could
calling
change
Seven Seas
tomorrow.
and being like, "Dude, can I put this on your property for a little while?" And he's a great guy. I'm telling you right now, he probably would do it and charge
He
me
is,
very little or
and
nothing to
thank you
do
for
it.
joining
But
joining our live today. But and the
um,
suggestion is equally appreciated. But more to his point, and point I was going to make before I let you jump back in is that's basically what it is. Most truck parking, because of the reasons you mentioned a few minutes ago, is based on presuppositions that we're nasty and we don't care. We're not wanted. The NIMBY argument constantly comes up and is a big issue when it comes to where we park, how we do it. Okay, I'm gonna say yes, we are a bunch of nasty fools and we need to be trained better
Well,
and wash our behinds. But aside from that, we got to park somewhere and it's got to be in a sensible place that allows us to get rest. And there's clearly not enough. My thing is, and what I
yeah,
think he's leading to is if more were provided on a way that was affordable and not robbing us like the $200 example in Donner Pass I brought up a minute ago,
yeah.
we could find some magic. And it don't take 480 freaking billion dollars to solve it. Last thoughts,
Well,
John? Or Frank, you were going to say something. I'm sorry. I'm going to cut you
well,
off, dude.
I'm talking about this parking deal. I noticed, and this is while I was just doing Class B driving.
Hmm.
Whenever they changed the service hours,
Hmm.
from where we had basically a 10-hour day, and then it jumped to where we have an 11-hour day. Oklahoma is one of the states that all of a sudden all of our rest areas just started disappearing. You know,
Hmm.
we hardly have any rest areas anymore, and the ones that we do are the more upkept ones, of course. But the factor of it is why did they start doing that? Why did they start pulling all these out just because of the change of service hours? That doesn't mean that us drivers are going to be find parking easier. So that's
No.
just that's another thing kind of irks me. And another little short story is the factor when I went down to Texas, I wasn't able to get parking at the Love, so I wound up going over onto private parties, and of course that was I seen the sign the next morning that said $25 a night parking.
Hmm.
Well, unfortunately, for a dirt lot, $25, forget that. I'm just not happening. So it's just ridiculous.
Yeah.
don't
They
admit to
are
doing something wrong when you're on YouTube, man.
that would kill you.
I didn't admit
Um,
nothing. I said it's just ridiculous.
yeah, it's just like I'm not doing
Yeah.
nothing right. I'm not doing nothing right now either. But yeah, that's all right. We'll get along with that. Um, I mean, last thing I'm going to say is, and I was seriously backing you up, brother. Um, I don't think Scott noticed this anyway. Um, unless he's looking at the screen.
I'm not.
I'm a troublemaker. I'm a troublemaker. That's all I'm going to say. Um, um, where was I? Oh, I was trying to build back trucking better. Um, but seriously though, I mean, think about it. Think about it. I got to do something for a humor break. It's boring in a motel room. What can I tell you? Um, think about it from a perspective of cost saving. I spend myself. I mean, to Scott's point, I pick on him, but I spend probably, I would say, on truck parking a hell of a lot more than $400 a month. You know,
Oh
I
yeah.
think I average. I think I average. I'm trying to actually do the math in my head. I'm gonna say probably close to 550, almost 600 a month, just parking around all places in different areas of the country. Because I'm all over the place, and call me crazy, but I utilize TA Petro because of the convenience of the app. But it's $25 every time I do it, and I'm seldom ever out on the road caught with my pants down like you were the other night, John. No ill will mentioned here, but not picking on you, but I don't like getting into those circumstances
No,
and
it's
dealing
fine.
with the crap you had to deal with the other night. So I think ahead. I pay ahead. I make these plans. I'm willing to do that. It's a cut in cost savings I choose to make. But a lot of us drivers, yourself included, Frank, being in A, the experience, and B, the position you're in, you might not be able to do that. You might not want to. It may not fall on you because your company may not reimburse you. So if we can come up with solutions, and no, not government solutions. No, I don't want more regulations. Midlife. What I want is sensible solutions. What I want to be is a problem solver. So let's put in a system that actually works. Let's put the money to work in places and ways to get systems in place that allow people like you and me to do my $500 of parking a little cheaper, a little better. If that kind of option were available to you, Scott, I'll ask you right off the bat because you were chief in bringing this up, and I appreciate it. What would you do if something like that were offered you, Scott? Would you jump on it? I mean, like that, or would you sit and hem and haw over it, or wait for the government to give you a handout?
No, I don't want to wait for the government at all for anything I do in my life. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I'm like you. So I pay $400 a month for a parking spot in Minnesota, and then I
Mm-hmm.
pay for parking when I'm out on the road. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I would find it hard pressed that they come up with some plan that like the truckers all kind of follow. I mean, John made the point earlier, if you reserve a spot at the truck stop, somehow that spot is taken when you get there. Are they double charging for that spot? Probably not, because like on the apps it says there's no more spots to rent. You know what I mean?
Right.
So some truckers just parking in a spot that he didn't pay for. You know what I mean? Nobody's ever going to get on the same page and do everything that we
No.
should do.
No.
You know what I mean? That's
Every app available
the
for these
problem.
big chain places. Well, the apps that are available for the big big chain places. My word, my eye teeth are crooked. They back up their systems and book to max capacity. They do not want open spots because that's lost revenue.
Can I say one
So
thing
yeah,
real quick?
go ahead, man. Go ahead.
If you pay for parking and you get there and there is no parking, go into the fuel desk, ask for your receipt, and then say, I want my money back. They're going to tell you that, oh no, they're not, reserved parking isn't refundable. If you read the fine print of their receipt, it says if they cannot accommodate you, they
Right.
have to give you a refund.
Right.
Most of the time, they're going to close a pump down and tell you to go sleep at the fuel pump. Like
Right.
that's been my experience.
And there's always options and there's always ways. I'm sure his situation is unique, but I've had it happen before. And I didn't park at the fuel island because I'll tell you what, I don't care if even the proprietor lets me do it. I will not do it because I consider that rude and stupid. What I do is I put myself out of service and I put myself out of the way and wait for one to open up. That involves me ELD crawling around the damn parking lot for a while. But I think of others where some people don't give a crap. And I tend to think
Oh,
that way. That's just me, but I'm probably a rare breed. I'm sorry, but that's just how I think. But I don't
Let me
believe
jump in
blocking
here
the
real
fuel
quick,
lounge,
boss
even if
man.
the proprietor says go ahead. Go ahead, John.
Let me jump in here real quick. Hey guys, I'm gonna do something right now. Steve, don't be mad at me, but I gotta do this, okay? Just hang on 1 second. All right, guys, I just removed the host from the stage. It's just us on here. Hey, wait. I want everybody on the screen. Hang on a second. Whatever. I guess it's just me. So it's just me now, guys. I see that there's 10 or 12 people in here right now, and I only see 98 subscribers. So I want 10 or 12 people to go to Trucking City Media right now. If you're not subscribed, I see someone just jumped in here that's not subscribed. Go subscribe, guys. This guy is at 98. as a YouTuber, I can tell you getting to that first 100 is extremely hard. It means a lot. And if you are that 100 subscriber, send me an email, drivingwithjohntoday@gmail.com, and I will make it worth your while. Guys, go subscribe right now. The person that just came in here and said this is the first stream I've ever joined. Go to Truckin City Media right now and subscribe. Guys, I hate taking over a show like this. He's probably swearing at me back screen right now, but go do that. If you have social media, share this out everywhere. This guy's working hard on it. In 3 months, he's almost gotten to 100. Truckin City Media, go subscribe right now. Now, I hate to take over his live stream like this, guys, but we can do this. I know we can. Midlife Trucker, share this stream out to everybody you know and tell them to subscribe. Freight Trucking, do the same. Grumpy, I've already done so. I appreciate you subscribing. If you're not on Truckin City Media, which I don't think you are, I don't want to mess up your name. I'm sorry, but go to Truckin City Media. It's in the chat. If you're on my page, go there and subscribe to him. He's at 98 subscribers right now. We need him at 100. All right, guys. I'm gonna bring him back in, but let's get this done. Seriously, guys, we can do this. All right. So let's bring Bossman back in and let him swear at me and tell me I'm a jerk for just kicking him out of his own show. Sorry
You're
about
no
that,
longer.
man. I had to do it.
You're no longer. You're no longer allowed to occupy box number 1. I am demoting you. You are now box number 3.
All right, we're
no,
up to
but thank you.
99, guys. One more. Let's
But-
do it. I know who did that. Thank you, man. I really do appreciate it. Come on, guys. We need one more. Let's do this.
Your
Get him to
hostile
100.
your hostile takeover cost us Fate Trucking, by the way.
That's
We
all right.
will
He'll be
still-
back
he's
one
all
day.
right.
You know what?
He
Whether he's on the
jumped out-
show or not,
He jumped out to share.
we are going
he
to
jumped out
make
to share the
trucking
stream.
great again. Whether he's here or not, I will remember him, and we will make trucking great again. Sorry, I just had to throw that in there. No, I
I think you
worried
can build
for
it
a minute.
back.
We all froze.
I think you can build
Yeah,
it back better and make it great again all at the same time.
Sure.
So,
that's probably what's interfering.
Hey, look at this way. We can make it grumpy too.
and then we got midlife. We got
You're
midlife
already-
trucker in here. We got midlife trucker.
You're
in here.
already-
Of course, he's playing devil's advocate as always.
Of course, I see his point there. They've always found my spot with 3 exceptions. Refunded my money on those times, which did not make me happy. One was in Birmingham and one was in Nitro. Nitro, dude, I would stay as far away from that with my truck, even yours. I mean, I don't know your truck, but hell, I wouldn't put my car at Nitro. Anyway,
So what you're saying is you wouldn't touch Nitro with his truck.
you said it, not me. Don't put those words in my mouth.
Come on, guys.
Makes sense.
I was going to make a point a minute ago. Oh, Griff USMC says in his point, I
Woo!
don't
Guess
mind
what,
paying
bud? Guess what? We just
Dude.
hit 100, dude. Congratulations.
you.
Hey,
All
whoever
right,
just
cool.
whoever just
I
subbed,
don't have-
guy, send me an email.
I don't
no
have that.
joke.
Yeah, I don't have that funky star BS you do. I got so I can't
Well,
do that.
I'll do
but
this.
thank you,
We'll do
love you,
some
yeah.
fireworks. We'll do
Right.
we'll do some confetti here. All right. Yep. There we go.
It's a milestone
appreciate it,
moment.
guys.
I don't mind celebrating with you guys. And thank you, John. That was hostile takeover
Now-
as it was. That was cool. I like that.
now that we've done that, and he's not on here, so I'm gonna do it one more time. If you guys don't follow Bait Trucking, go check out his channel and follow him. He is this close to 5,000. This close to 5,000 subscribers. And I know that sounds like a big number, but in the YouTube world, that's a very small fish in a very big pond. Your support would be greatly appreciated. I know a lot of you guys came over, like Grip USMC. I know he's from over there. A lot of you guys are from over there, and I really do appreciate it. Share out this link to get Truckin City Media and Bait Trucking to help him out. I'd really appreciate it, guys. And this is Driving with John. Don't worry about subscribing to my channel. I'm not even worried about me. Go get those guys taken care
Just
of.
so
I
you
really
guys,
appreciate it.
just so you guys are aware, I'm sitting here staring up into space. I'm not ignoring the audience. I'm just watching my son because my My son is entertaining himself on YouTube videos here, so I want to make sure he's watching kid-friendly stuff. So I'm babysitting and kid sitting and parent sitting all and doing live shows all in one shot. So it's not easy to do. So thank you for what you've done, John. I appreciate that. Grumpy, I appreciate that. You guys, when you're here, you're getting the benefit of a platform in which you can sound off on your thoughts about trucking today, trucking news, and the industry as a whole. It's people like this man right here next to me and the man on the right hand side that helped me make this show what it is. So for that, I appreciate you subscribing to my channel, and I urge you go on their channels and like the show, like their videos. Be sure and thank them because they are what make this show what it is. Midlife, Girl in a Semi, Seven Seas, all those I haven't mentioned. Those people are well respected and well thought of and appreciated for coming in day after day, week after
Poet.
week when we do these shows.
Poet,
Poet, yes,
Seven
thank
Seas.
you. I will not forget him. I mentioned him. Poet, I will not forget
Grip.
him, our friend from the north. Say a prayer for him. He's just recently had a little bit of an issue, so we hope he gets back into the employment game and gets things better. Yes, I'm going to mention it because I love your brother because you make it a valuable part of the show every day. So I hope your future looks up. In the meantime, look at the comment right here. He says, I don't mind paying for FMC. I have a spot where I can get better trip plan and better use of my drive time, and then trying to shut down just to find a spot. You know, that point I made on that
Done.
video just a minute back, Outpost, we spend a lot of time, not so much the numbers, forget the numbers for just a minute. We spend a large majority of our time trying to find spots. Well, my idea and our discussion today would go a long way to alleviating that. Last thoughts on this, guys, as we look to future shows. What are your thoughts, Frank? Anything to add to what Griff just said?
You know, he does bring up a good point. You know, if it's worth your while to pay out, depending on the price of it, of course, then yeah, it might be worth paying for it. But I wouldn't want to make a habit of it. I mean, because there's just too much expense that is for us drivers, and we just don't need more.
Everything we can do to make it easier and get rid of the stress. I agree with that. And no more hostile takeovers, John, but I'm going to give you a last thought on this. Give me your thoughts. Anything to close with? Anything I might have missed?
Guys, I really appreciate that you support Truckin City Media. I love what he does. I love that we can get on here and all share our opinions, even if they're different opinions, and everybody is welcome. And as for the comment down below where they're talking about they're at 50, how did y'all do it? Stay tuned, because if you follow me and you follow these guys over here, you'll figure it out. Email me. I'll help you out personally. I'm good with that. Y'all have a good day. Truckers are people too. Boss man, take it away.
My friend, you and Frank are what make this show what it is. In fact, I'll go a step better. You, these guys, and the audience are what make this show what it is. I thank each and every one of you for showing up every time, trusting me to bring you a perspective on news that you can only find here. Remember, while you're on the road, it's the trucks that make the deliveries. But above all else, it is you, the driver behind the wheel, that makes the difference. Till next time, my friends, be safe, keep the faith, and keep a rolling.